All right, this is our very first Intimate Realms video podcast. We're glad to be here today, and this is Timothy Earl. I am a love, intimacy, and relationship coach. We're going to tell you all about ourselves and how we met, but I'll let Liz introduce herself first.
Yeah, we better get ready for something super juicy because if we're going to be talking about intimacy, you're going to really see into us. And yes, my name is Liz. I'm in the Pacific Northwest and I do platonic touch, but also some erotic coaching. I love what I do. I'm super passionate about it. And Timothy and I love each other. We're both polyamorous and we've known each other for years and we've been in this beautiful flow of intimacy, sometimes more physical, sometimes more emotional. And I'm proud to call you, Timothy, my lover. I'm glad to be doing this with you.
It feels so good to hear that on video. I don't know why. It's exciting to me to kind of come out of not a closet, but just come out so publicly with our relationship and with the little tidbits that I'm sure we'll weave into our stories as we go. Today, Liz and I were just talking about, are we going to actually share how we met? And we both said yes. So
Yeah.
it's quite juicy.
Because when people say, like in the topic of what maybe Tinder date disasters is probably a more common topic, but I don't really have very many of those. And when I think of what is the best Tinder date I ever had, I tell the story of meeting Timothy.
Yes. If only Tinder could let us write this up for them, right? And post it. I don't know if they're quite ready for this one, but I tell people all the time I've met three wonderful people through Tinder, and Liz is the my longest term lover and relationship currently. And it feels nice to say I'm going to cry. Um, and I met Liz on Tinder while visiting. I actually didn't meet you. I matched with you the first time while visiting my daughter. I'm going to not say names in Boise, Idaho, who was going to college there. And we matched. And I believe we started doing, once we got comfortable, like video chats.
Right, right. Okay, so I don't know that I've told you this particular detail, but I'm laying in bed with my husband and our girlfriend, and I'm on Tinder, and I saw you come up. There were one of the pictures, I think you were wearing a cowboy hat, which totally is not something I would generally go for. But I just immediately I saw your pictures and I was like, oh yeah. And then I think you said something about being ethically non-monogamous or something.
Mhm.
And I right swipe and I get the thing. He has also right swiped you. And I literally in bed, my arm shoots up and I go, yes. I was just like so happy that you matched me because I was, yes, very interested.
I just,
It's amazing how people's energy comes through the profile.
I remember seeing you and a picture of your husband at the time, and it said that you were ethical, non-monogamous, and immediately I just went, "Oh, that's what I'm looking for." I was swiping left on most other things, and I so appreciated that you were in a marriage. That was what a big yes factor for me.
Do you think you're attracted to people who are married because you know they're not going to get too attached to you? Me too.
They have their person, right? Like I don't need to
Mhm.
be their everything or and it tells me that they're polyamorous. If they're in an ethical long-term relationship with someone and they say that they're polyamorous, then I have more faith in it. I trust it more. I It's not like, oh, couple just opening up their relationship. Your profile read that the two of you had been practicing for a little while. So
Mm. Yeah, yeah. Okay, so yeah, that we started, we messaged, we did some video chatting, and then we were talking about, okay, you're going to be in town.
Yeah, I'm coming to see my daughter again. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And you rented an Airbnb.
Yeah.
And I think I can take credit for coming up with this idea. I said, because you probably wouldn't have suggested it, right?
Wouldn't have even like come into my mind. It would, you go ahead and say it, but this scared me, really. I'll
Oh,
say
wow.
why. I'll say why after you share it.
Okay, so I get this like, jolt of inspiration, and I said, what if the first time we see each other, we don't say anything? What if I just come in to the house and we meet in the shower? And I just, the words just came out of my mouth. I never thought of it before, but I think I was excited. Like I knew we were going to get along, and I was excited about breaking just the norm and skipping the part of, okay, how are we going to connect physically? Let's just
You
have.
took, you took, I teach this when I'm working with couples a lot. Talk less, touch more, right? And you took the talk first out and just went straight for physical contact. What I remember hearing is, what if I go into your Airbnb when you're not there, but we'll set a time? You'll arrive after you've given me a little bit of time because I'll be in the shower and you just come and join me in the shower. And I
Oh,
remember, I remember being literally terrified. My heart rate went up. I was like, what if I don't like how she smells? What if, I don't know, there's just some thing that like it's a no. And then I'm naked in the shower with this person. How do you say no or stop if you're not enjoying them? And yes, we had talked enough that I felt comfortable pushing this edge, but it was a big edge for me. In fact,
and we didn't have sex,
no,
and we didn't have like
but
penetrating sex in the shower.
no, no, no.
Yeah.
But I like opening up the shower curtain and getting into the shower with you. If there'd been a heart monitor on me, you would have been like, "Is this guy okay?" Because it was.
And the way that it ended up with, that's really, it's fun to hear your rendition because I had forgotten that I said I would get in the shower. You wouldn't even be there, and then you would slip in the shower with me. I'd forgotten that part because how it ended up working out was I showed up and you were standing in the dining room and we made eye contact, and then I just walked right past you, which was better. It was probably like a little bit of like, okay, we see each other now, we're doing this.
Yeah. Or like you get to this house, you go inside, you get in the shower, and like say I don't show up, or it takes 15 minutes or something, and you're just like, what's going on? Am I in the right house?
Like I hear the door and then you never come in. Yeah,
Yeah.
something terrible. God, that's
Um,
hilarious. I didn't know I pushed your edge so far.
but I do remember getting in the shower and your back was turned to me. And so you have this lovely back tattoo, and your hair was coming down your back, and you have a beautiful derriere. And I was like, oh, it's going to be okay. And then when I got close to you and I just smelled you, because smell is such an important thing to me. And the minute I smelled you, I went, oh, it's really going to be okay. It's going to be all right.
Mhm.
And refresh my memory, did we kiss in the shower? I'm pretty sure I like washed you. I can't
That's
remember
funny. It's a
exactly.
little bit of a blur. I don't know if this is if I'm making this up in the moment. What I remember is you being behind me and like your arms wrap around me. And we stayed like that for a while. And then I turned to face you and then we kissed.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
what I remember. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But then I think we might have bathed each other after that, like with soap and stuff, and just explored each other's bodies. I kind of remember washing you, and maybe I used like, should we wash each other's bodies as an excuse to just touch you everywhere.
And we didn't talk for a
No, we
long
didn't
time.
talk. We did all that non-verbally. Yeah.
Yeah. Best Tinder date ever.
Ever. Yeah. And I'm like, right now, I'm just, my whole body's lit up. I'm feeling it. And yeah, thank you for, I love it when people that I'm dating suggest things that are out of the ordinary or push an edge for me, because it's usually me doing that. And when you did that, it was like a gift all around for me, just to receive and to get to follow.
Hmm. I have another Tinder date story that, okay, this is with somebody who we had already met, or wait, let's see. Actually, this was our first meeting, but we had messaged and maybe talked on the phone. We knew we were going to like each other. And I suggested we meet at a bar and pretend to be strangers.
Mm.
And so we're sitting at the bar, we're talking to the bartender, we're talking to somebody else. And then, and it's just, it's very light and fun. And then he says, do you want to go sit outside with me? Or something like that. And then we take our drinks and sit outside. And I think he just felt like $1,000,000 because everybody around us thought that we were total strangers. And he just had the fucking cojones to say that to me, That was a fun story.
Yeah, I think that's a good exercise for lots of people, especially if they've been dating a while or they've been living together for a long time, to just spice it up by, hey, you go to that bar, I'll walk in after you, I'll buy you a drink, I'll move over and talk to you, and we'll just pretend we've never met before. It'll just be our first encounter, right? And just bringing all of that new energy. And I love what you said, that this guy and you both got that feeling of like, people just think this is some amazing event happening, and actually it's orchestrated.
Yeah. Okay, let's make a plan for you and I to do that together next time.
I would love that. Yeah, I would love that.
And I'll be wearing
socks. You know what would be really fun is if my nesting partner and you and I all went to a place on Maui, right? Like a bar, all walk in separately, and somehow I get the two of you with me, and then we leave. So,
okay, I have this fantasy of dancing at the local, gay bar, right? And I'm there with my constellation of like poly partners, and I'm dancing, but I haven't been dancing with anybody else, right? And then a partner comes, like walks across the room, comes to the dance floor and kisses me, and they leave, and then the next person comes and kisses me. And after that happens, maybe 4 or 5 times, maybe other people will think, "Oh my gosh, can I just kiss this girl?" I really want to do this social experiment.
I can't wait to hear about it and find out, like, oh yeah, 5 people I didn't even know came and kissed me.
In that way, I'm really comfortable exchanging fluid with people. Like I have no fear of kissing people, so it's very comfortable, and it's so, every kiss is so different. I love that. I love the novelty of kissing new people.
Yeah. It's interesting. Some people, I'm probably in the middle, but some people, kissing is the most intimate thing out of everything that could be done, right? And they'd rather do all kinds of other things before kiss. Um, I'm probably in the middle. I do enjoy kissing first. I do like kissing new people a lot. And God, it feels so intimate in some ways. Yeah. I'm I'm reminded of a static dance where I had 3 lovers there one night, and I'm dancing with other people too. So I was probably dancing intimately, sexually, sensually with about 5 people, kissed 3 of them. And this good friend of mine comes up to me afterwards, like, oh my God, how are you doing it? You're just kissing all these strangers. And I was like, whoa, I know all 5 of those people I was dancing with, and the 3 that I kissed, I'm in intimate relationship with. They're not strangers. I didn't just like start making out with some woman that I met on the dance floor. And he was like, "Oh, thank you for telling me that. I just figured I'd try to do that tonight." It's like, so I could see how your scenario, somebody goes, "Yeah, I kissed this total stranger," and it's true, and then maybe they try to do that with somebody else. I look forward to hearing back about how it goes. Your evening.
Right, because there does need to be an element of buy-in here, right? I mean, there needs to be a moment of, are we doing this? I want to do that. Am I leaning in? You're leaning in. And it's kind of, which is kind of a counter consent culture, but again, with no words. I like the physical consent. I like the body language of I'm looking at your lips. I'm licking my lips. I'm leaning in. You're leaning in. I enjoy the physical consent. I'm noticing that I feel a little scared in saying that because verbal consent is so like hammered into us in terms of it needs to not only be verbal, it needs to be enthusiastic. It needs to be done every 5 minutes. It's
Yeah,
I've
I'm
got
with
some.
you. There's a lot of us that um, value verbal consent and regular check-ins, make especially if energy is starting to escalate, and making sure that everybody knows what's on the menu and not adding something to the menu after we get going. All the different beautiful consent practices, especially when you're in a room with people you don't know, all of that. But, and like you, I really enjoy being in spaces where we all agree that we could practice nonverbal physical consent communication. And not everybody can do that or wants to do that. But I find it's really enjoyable. It requires one magic thing, which is that everybody in the room is able to know that they can have their boundaries and represent their boundaries. And some people kind of freeze up or have trouble when something's being offered to them. And so words are better and going a lot slower. But I'm with you. I enjoy spaces and I curate them once in a while where like you and I curated, you curated it. I just participated in the shower. That was a whole nonverbal consent interaction. Neither one of us at any point felt that there was a boundary crossed.
Mhm.
And so exciting to not move into this cognitive part of this thinking frontal lobe part, but to stay really in our bodies. And
Right.
yeah, I I think there's room for it all, but
And I think, like you're saying, it's the heart of what's really important is knowing ourselves. When do I have a hard time saying no? When are moments where I need a little bit of extra time, or knowing, yeah, when do we freeze or fawn, and knowing ourselves in that way. That's really, I think, the most important thing
and
because then
I
you
don't
put
think
yourself in situations where you
verbal
have that
cons-
ability.
yeah, and verbal consent and nonverbal physical consent, they don't work if somebody is not attuned or has the ability to either hear the words well, understand what's being said, or see the physical reaction and be able to interpret people's um, physical reactions. So there are some people who are not as adept at reading body language or hearing the nuances in someone's tone or in their words. And so I think those are people who need a lot of assistance in understanding that no, actually I'm saying no right now. And you see this on like ecstatic dance floors where someone will give a namaste, which usually means no, I don't want to dance with you. And the person keeps trying. And eventually you just have to walk away or shake your fist at them. I mean, I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know that it's that they mean to do that. I think some people just don't understand, or I mean, if they are disregarding the boundary, then maybe they need to not be in that room. But
Mm-hmm.
to curate a nonverbal physical consent experience, thinking of one that I was at where we were all naked and covered in coconut oil by the facilitators. And we'd all been taught to use the back of our hands, no front of the hands, so there's no grabbing, and keep our eyes closed because the coconut oil burns. And we just rolled around, like 20 of us. And at first I thought, oh, this is going to be sensual or sexual. It really ended up, when we, in the discussion afterwards, it ended up being very much primal. Almost all of us felt like we were worms under the ground and sea slugs sliding through the ocean. People had these kind of images. It was much less sexual. And that was all done with no words, right? The setup had words, but once we got going, there was no talking. And I think we only had one instance where someone actually didn't hear about the hand thing. They just didn't hear it. And they were using their hand in this way. They owned it. I respected that. And the person who felt that they had, grabbed their breast, felt like the group conversation we had, all that got unwound afterwards. But that's what I mean is like, that's an example of someone didn't hear the instructions and they did something that was out of line or didn't follow the instructions, and it caused some harm, but they took responsibility for it. We worked through it. So when we're doing nonverbal consent practices that are physical, it's just really important that everybody understands how we do that. And I love that with you and I, we're so attuned to each other that it's easy. And we also, the other beautiful thing is that we know that we will use our words if we have to repair and to come back into harmony with each other. And that means a lot to me.
Yeah, and it's something that I'm getting better at in terms of like attuning to other people. Like I was at the river with a friend and we were meditating, and we were doing eye gazing. And at one point, I said, "Would you like to sit like yab yab where I sit on your lap?" And he said yes, but I could tell that it wasn't a full yes. And so I said, let's pause for a second and feel into that. And then he thought in silence for a second and then said, actually, I don't think with the relationship that I have, that would be in alignment. So let's stay with how we're sitting right now. And I was so grateful that I heard the undertone. And I think 5 years ago, I probably wouldn't have, or maybe
Yeah.
even 3 years ago, like I probably wouldn't have heard it.
Well, and there might even be an instance tomorrow where you or I, we just don't see it, or we're so excited that we aren't as attuned as we normally are. And so,
Right.
But nice to be at a place where you are. My experience with you is you're reading the room very accurately, and you'll ask questions or be curious about, are you a full yes? Am I seeing something? Timothy, did something just come up for you?
Yeah, actually, you know what? Yesterday I had a big dinner and a lover came over and we've been very friends. And then sometimes there's a bit of lovership. They came in and I kissed them on the mouth. I totally thought we had the green light for that. And then they said, I love this so much. They said, an hour or two in, I want to clear something with you. And I just like, boom, I'm dropped in. Yes, I'm here. And they said, I don't want to kiss on the mouth. It didn't feel, it was interesting because I'm still kind of processing this feedback. They said, it didn't feel real. We don't have a fully romantic relationship. And so kissing on the mouth doesn't feel, they didn't use the word genuine. They said real. And I was thinking, it was real for me. And I have a bit of a story that maybe this is a defense mechanism in them. And also, I don't need to push and try to dig into that. I just need to trust that they're setting a boundary.
Yeah.
But yeah, all of a sudden I'm thinking, I must not have really been reading them very well. I just like went in.
That's what I mean is our excitement sometimes can cause us to read that it's okay when maybe it's not. You're reminding me of when I have a dear friend, really close friend, lives on Maui with me. And we were after dance at a picnic, and he started this game. He's great at interaction games. Started this game of, hey, Liz, you take this piece of chocolate in your mouth and you give it to, I'll make up a name, to Jill, right? So you do that, you and Jill end up touching lips, maybe kissing a little. So first he's just getting, female-bodied people to do this with each other. And then eventually he's getting, hey, Timothy, why don't you do it with Liz, right? So you and I do it. And then Then he puts a piece of chocolate in his mouth at one point and goes, Timothy, do you want this piece of chocolate? So I'm willing to play, right? I get close, not thinking he's going to kiss me. I was a very different person back then. And he gets close, he gives me the chocolate, and then he kisses me, but more than just a peck. It's like an actual kiss. My homophobic stuff, all my programming, everything came up. I had to get up and walk away. And I thought, what is this? This is so bad. It's just my best friend. He's giving me a piece of chocolate. He's kissing me as he gives me the chocolate. Like, it's nothing bad here. Why am I so freaked out? And I recognize, like, wow, I've got this homophobic stuff in me that's been ingrained since I was a kid. And I don't like that. So I asked all of my close guy friends every time they saw me to kiss me on the lips and let me kiss them on the lips. And like more than just a kiss, like little, like mini makeout section, right? They don't have to use tongue if they don't want to. So I had like 5 close friends doing this with me, and I got really comfortable with it and started to enjoy it. And then Tobin's one of the, this guy's one of the ones doing that with me. I don't think he'll mind that I leaked his name there. And one day he's standing there and I rush up. I'm all excited like you. I give him this big, good, juicy kiss and he pulls away. I'm like, and then he looks like this to the left. His mother was standing right there. I didn't know who his mom was. She was visiting. So we could have consent, but then sometimes we don't. And it's really hard to understand, you know?
Right, right. That's so true because I might feel the same way if there were some, yeah, if maybe I'm in a setting, somebody pops into my Rotary meeting. I don't want them giving me a piece of chocolate with their mouth.
Yeah.
So
Or like
yes, setting or context.
your poly constellation comes to your Rotary meeting and afterwards they're all trying to kiss you at the same time. And you're like, not here, not here.
You know what? Actually, with this friend who said, I don't want to kiss on the mouth, I wonder if that would have been different if we had been alone. I wonder if that may not have come up for them.
Probably.
Yeah.
That was where I went. My story was they're comfortable kissing you when it's just the two of you, but because in their mind, you're not a consistent lover or in this kind of more of a romantic field, that for you to kiss them in front of others could be confusing for maybe some other people.
Interesting. Yeah.
You'd have to
Right. Because
ask.
I did clarify with them. I said, what about when we're being intimate? Then is kissing okay? And they said, yeah. So I was thinking, okay, yeah, there's like, now I'm just going to check in, I'll just check in more.
Oh, the things that people who are monogamous don't have to worry about.
Right. Because even if it is their mother standing there, if they're monogamous, it's probably not going to be a no. Maybe the type of kiss. They're like, don't French kiss me when we're in church. Okay, where are we at on time?
All right. I think we should wrap it up here, but let's just tell people one more time who we are, what we do, and then we'll close.
I'm Liz, the love worker, and I'm mostly on Facebook. And I do platonic touch and erotic coaching.
Yeah. I just tooting some, sharing a little bit about you. We have this group that meets called The Circle now, and it's a group of polyamorous people from all over the United States, and Liz has been a part of it for quite a while. And every time you're a part of the group calls, which there's one this evening, Liz will ask questions that the whole room is like, oh God, wow, thank you. They're meaningful, they're deep, they help people they're juicy, they're fun. And even when it's just one person, you'll ask a question that I think really is insightful and open-ended and brings them into a greater understanding. So I think anybody who gets to work with you on any level, whether it's your platonic touch or whether it's coaching them, is which is lucky. So.
Okay.
And I'm Timothy Earl. I am a love, intimacy, relationship coach. I work with all kinds of couples, monogamous, polyamorous. I also work with individuals, and I'm also a psychedelic guide. Um, you can find me on my website, timothyearl.com. I'm also on Facebook and probably need to be more active there. But my sweet spot is working with couples who are already polyamorous or want to open up. And we are calling this podcast Intimacy Realms because we're going to be talking about our own lives, and how intimacy plays into pretty much everything that, whether it's communication or emotions or sexuality, relationships. So that's our theme or our focus. But you can imagine in the future other people joining us, and all of us sharing is hopefully just as juicy and as fun a material as we did today. And if you learned anything along the way, great. That's the idea too.
Cool. I have an idea for comments in the section. Your best Tinder date story.
Oh yeah. And I have another great Tinder date story, but I think we maybe see if we can't get her to come on the show. Because it would be better if, like you, if we got to hear her side of it.
Yeah, fun. Okay. See you next
All
time.
right. Ciao.